Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. All right, we just did a typical themed episode a few minutes ago, and now we're going to do a Patreon picks. This one comes at us courtesy of Daniel Bohr. I hope I pronounced that right. He suggests Ataraxie, and I'm gonna butcher this. Les affres du trépas. That's probably like so bad, but that's oh god, that's what I did. That's what I did. Um, and apparently I have no idea how to set this up properly. So there we go. And yeah, I think we're good to go now. These guys, the 25-minute song. So buckle up, grab some food, and yeah, 25 minutes. Let's go. Alright, so far this is just real heavy, real slow. But evolving in really cool directions. Really nice drum fill there. Yeah, these chords that they're choosing are just wild. Yeah, there's a lot of cool musicality going on in here. Even though the vocals, I kind of think they're detracting, and we really need a stronger lead going on here. stone. That is just... That's a low growl. Just like the slowest, just like molasses metal I think we've ever listened to. I don't really know what to make of this. I imagine this must be extremely difficult to play. I don't know if I could play in such a slow tempo without just completely losing sense of time and end up rushing or dragging like that. That just seems inevitable for me as a player. Stark contrast to the beginning, this section actually has very little interesting direction going towards it, and it's kind of just sitting in the same spot. Now this is something another genre I don't think would be able to get away with. The layering of multiple chaotic vocal patterns. They're very dissonant in their delivery. They're very raw. And it gives me the impression of like a fractured mind. And I think metal's like the only place you could really get away with that. just me, or do they actually do get out of time every once in a while? I don't know. It might just be because I'm having a hard time keeping like the exact beat down. But there's a couple of notes I'm like, yeah, that was a little early. I don't know. Could just be me though. Like I said though, I would have immense difficulty. So. Did we just get slower? There is no way. We are very close to 60 beats per second, and that is a ridiculously low tempo. And then using those triplets, the triplet quarter notes, to kind of drag it out even more. It's kind of insane to think that they're playing like this for such a long period of time. Yeah, so there's been a lot of nuanced alterations to that core section that we just listened to, but for the most part, after the interesting chord progression for the intro, whatever you want to call that bit, the song really hasn't evolved much, hasn't changed much from that initial second sound. So this is really the third section we're getting into. We might be able to push it to like a fourth section. We might be able to split the heavy section up into two sections. But I mean, we're quite a bit into this song. Yeah, 19 minutes into the song, and we're really only on section 3 or 4. Yeah. I really like the juxtaposition of this section. I think the drums are a bit more interesting, and the guitar part is playing some really cool lines. Even though it's not technical or anything, it's more about the textures and how the notes are relating to each other. But I think this section's a lot more interesting than the section that came before it. However, that could just be recency effect, and this is just new to me. You know, this is novel after listening to the last part for 15 minutes. Yeah, there's been a couple of sections just in this last minute or so that to me feels like they were rushing for a second and then reined it back in. Although I guess it could be intentional. It's kind of a full band thing where it happens. So yeah, this is a good payoff. This ending would not achieve its intended response if not for the last 20 minutes of just sludge. This is slowest music. If that is a deliberate ending, caught me off guard. However, as I'm sure most of you are going to assume, I'm going to assume as well, that is, it goes into the next track, I would wager. That's just a bit too harsh of a stopping point. Um, so yeah. Okay, so it's so long ago I forgot what this band's called. Ataraxie. That was a trip. That was a trip. Okay, so it is the slowest music we've listened to on this channel yet, easily. Um, like I said, at the slowest part, I got a countdown sitting over here. It's always available for me. I have a countdown and a stopwatch just nearby, just in case. I don't know why. Um, although it does help for this. I check BPMs and stuff on it all the time, so I guess that's why I have it around. Anyways, though, that slow section was really close to 60 beats per second. Maybe it was like 65, is a little faster. But I mean, dang, I that is just. I mentioned it a couple of times. Playing that slow requires just the utmost perfection in personal tempo, personal metronome, because your drummer, you know, if it was a faster song, you could rely on your drummer to be the band's metronome, but there's so much space between even the drummer's notes that the rest of the band has to be their own metronomes. You can't really rely on the drums to do that for you. If they were playing um, double time, maybe they were playing eighth notes or 16th notes to fill in the space between the strums of the guitar, yeah, you could rely on the drums then. But the drums playing just as, just as not irregularly, just as sparsely as the guitarists are, just as sparsely as the singer's singing. So everybody has to have a perfect internal metronome to do this. Um, I cannot imagine playing live a 25-minute track with tempos that vary between 60 and maybe 80 tops BPM. That is just without a click track. Now, see, I hadn't thought about that till just now. Um, in my performances, I've never used a click track. Now, part of that is because when I was doing my rock band stuff, we didn't have the money to afford, in ear stuff. So we just kind of winged it and hoped it sounded great. And when I was doing like symphonic and jazz stuff, you don't need it because you have a strong percussion and rhythm section with you, and you have your conductor. Not so much in jazz, the conductor might get it started, but my conductor fairly commonly went off and got his own saxophone and joined in with the band just because he enjoyed playing just as much as anything else. So, but you have your really strong rhythm section in jazz, and then in more classical settings, um, your conductor is going to be directing the group. So he is the metronome for the whole band, and a lot of classical music can have lots of tempo variations, and a little bit of the performance is decided by the conductor. I don't that's kind of a weird thing, especially in metal when you hear a song and that's the way the song is expected to be performed. But the really cool thing in classical music is that a piece is composed and then it is played by varying different groups all throughout time. So first you have a transposer who is going to take the written music by the composer who had a certain sound in his mind of how the song was supposed to sound, and they'll transpose it and write it for whatever instruments are in the group. Maybe it was written for a full symphony and you don't have strings, you just have woodwind and brass and percussion. So now you got to rewrite the string parts and apply them throughout the band. But then your conductor is going to read the cues, your retardandos, your diminuendos and your accelerando, all of it. He's going to read it in his own flair and he's going to interpret it differently. And the end result is that every group plays a song differently. It is something that you don't really see in popular music because a lot of music is written and performed by the same person, so it's performed the way it's heard in their head. Um, and that's just something really unique to symphonic music. Um, yeah, I kind of went on a tangent there though. Um, but yeah, so like in jazz and symphonic and how I'm used to playing, I've never had a click track, so it's something that I never really think about. Um, when I'm thinking about performances like this, I always assume it's done fairly natural. Um, but yeah, if I were tasked with playing this track, you betcha I'd have a click track because I am not going to be able to keep this tempo internally for the full time. I'm going to end up rushing or dragging in certain places, and we'll be lucky if we start and end the song at the right tempo. So, yeah, I mean, just huge props to them on a musician level for being able to perform this. That is just, it blows my mind that they can do it. Um, I was thinking like even with a click track it'd be difficult, but the click track would be doing double time easy because it'd be the only way to really count the time between the beats because the beats are just so far a full second apart. Think about that. The beats are almost a full second apart. If you ever looked at a clock and it's just trying to anticipate, not like a digital clock, but an analog clock, trying to anticipate when the second hand's going to move. I mean, even when you get on it and you guess like two or three in a row, you're going to get off real quick. You're going to, assume it comes a little faster, assume it comes a little later. Um, I don't know. You would have to have like perfect internal metronome. Just baffles me that these guys can do this. Um, So yeah, and then to do it for 25 minutes, man. But then the other thing is now I this is going to be really biased, and I'm just putting this out there as my opinion. Okay, all right. I don't want to get shot down or whatever. I got my flame shields up. Whatever. When the song was over, my first thought, other than wow, that was abrupt, was finally. Okay, I'm gonna take some flack for this probably. This could have been a 10-minute song. It really could have. A lot of it is just the same thing over and over, but basically it's like they took a song at 120 130 BPM and then just slowed it down. Cut the tempo in half in the DAW and called it a day. And I don't want that to sound like a negative. Because it isn't. I'm going to get on to some of the positives about this in a second. But for me as a listener, this not being my jam, this was really difficult to listen to because it doesn't really evolve much. It stays on the same core idea for a majority of the runtime. You have your 5-minute intro, your 10-minute outro, and then there's like a good 10, 12 minutes of just the same slow, heavy chords and growling. And if you were sitting there thinking, dude, just finish the sentence, that's what I was thinking about the song. Dude, just get to the next section. Dude, pick the tempo up. It's just I grew bored of listening to this, and like I said, I'm gonna get into some of the positives about this in a second. Uh, this is my opinion, though. Okay, we're not talking about any subjective or any objective things about it, anything that they did cool or things that work thematically, anything like that. Just my opinion, listening to this, I did not enjoy it. I really enjoyed the intro. I really enjoyed the outro, and I'll tell you later, the outro would not have worked without the middle section. But that middle section dragged, and that was the point, but it's not something I would ever sign up to do. Daniel, no offense to you for picking this song. I'm sure you enjoy it. I'm sure there's quite a few of you guys who might enjoy this music. This was just not for me. Um, so yeah, like taking it from that angle, the fact that these guys sat down, decided to write this, determined to play this live and then put it all together. And they said, you know what? You're either going to love this or you're not, and we don't care. We're writing this for us, or we're writing it for our fans. We enjoy what we're doing. We're really good at what we're doing, and we're just going to do it. Who cares if people don't like it? Who cares if it's too slow for people? I got to give them props for that. It is just, it is music for music's sake. And yeah, I didn't enjoy it, and that doesn't matter. That is 100% what you should walk away from this from with. It wasn't my jam, but that doesn't matter. Okay. Now, moving on to some of the positive stuff, I really want to look at uh, theme and payoff. I think those are the two most important things to look at with this track. Um, the song has an atmosphere, it has a personality. Every bit of the song is slow, heavy hitting, and a little bit chaotic, but also, well, no, the ending was chaotic, but that was the payoff. So it's slow, heavy hitting, and cyclical. There's a lot of cyclical stuff going on around here. It is heavily riff based, but you don't really hear it because the riffs are written in 4 to 8 bar phrases of what would be, 120 ish tempo. When you cut that in half, though, your riffs are, 30 to 40 seconds long. And you don't really hear the loop because the temporal issue. All right? You really got to listen in, and you can hear how the song is these loops just going over and over and over. Um, but they're just drawn out so long that you kind of forget where the beginning was. So when you revisit it, it doesn't sound new. It doesn't sound not new. Or sorry, let me say, it doesn't sound old. It doesn't sound new either. Like the whole song has this recurring idea of just, this heavy, this weight, this punch. The song has a very similar sound throughout. But yeah, there's always these sections. If you're listening real closely, you'd be like, oh yeah, okay, we're back to the beginning of the riff now, or we're going to this section that we've listened to before. But it's all very because of it. It's nuanced. It's a nuanced evolution. Little things get changed over time, and that due to the coupled with the fact that the riffs are so long time wise, it's really difficult to see any of the DNA, like the looping riffing aspects of the song that kind of give it the cyclical nature. But it's definitely there, and it helps to induce the. It almost turns into a droning once you notice it, and I think it's really there to help with like trance like stuff. I know I've been saying that a lot. We've been doing a lot of these longer songs with repetitive sections that I think are supposed to be like trance like, and listeners just, lay back, chill, turn your brain off, and let the song take you on a mental journey. And I think that's what's going on here too. But at the same time, for me, it's just so slow. I don't fall into that. I don't remember what the last song we did was, where I just like closed my eyes and just chilled, and it was amazing. It was like last week or something like that, and I got it. Like I totally got that whole trance thing, which is just like completely antithetical of how I listen to music. I listen to music with my brain engaged. Um, and it's just so weird to be able to do that. Like I don't remember what song that was, uh, but yeah, it was really cool to finally get that. I know a lot of people have talked about it, and so yeah, I think that's what this whole middle section was. Now the cool thing is though is that it's bookended by some more interesting ideas, and it really helps contrast with the repetitive droning of the middle. The beginning has some really, really cool chord ideas, and it goes in some really unique directions with chords you don't really hear often in metal. It's stuff that I tend to associate with more exploratory genres like jazz and prog. Prog does some really cool stuff with unusual chords. Um, but yeah, definitely not something straight metal like this. This is typically where you would hear power chords and more of your common blues chords. And yeah, the opening intro bit just had some really cool especially chord resolutions. Okay, it's usually the fourth or the eighth one that just was like, whoa, that was cool. Was not expecting you to land there after that journey. So yeah, cool stuff there. And then the other end of the bookend, the other bookend, yeah, whatever. My metaphor has gone off the rails. There's another weird metaphor I'm throwing in here. Trains. Okay, so at the end of the song though, we get the slow section. And it turns from a slow section into a not a slow section, a quiet section. So slow. It goes to a quiet section, and then we get a build up. We get the screams that come back, and some heavier chords. The drums start to get a little crazier. They got some really wild fills to go in there. Um, they get louder. There seems to be a bit more movement in a lot of the guitar lines, and it is a huge payoff. You have 20-ish minutes of just this slow droning. And the song doesn't get super fast at the end, but it's such a stark contrast. It might only be 30 beats per minute, but it's such a stark contrast to the rest of it. It feels so fast. There's a bit of relief there, but also a bit of uncertainty. A lot of things are getting chaotic. There's a lot of overlapping ideas going on, and the drums are starting to speed up. They're playing these fast fills across the kit, and yeah, you could have got a similar reaction in a shorter song, but I don't think it would have been as intense of a reaction and intense of a payoff. Just the therapeutic release of that section was so good, and they took their time getting there, and it was needed. Like I said, you wouldn't have gotten that same type of release if the song were shorter, or if the middle didn't drone on for so long, or if there wasn't so much repetition. But for me, the problem is getting there. It's a double-edged sword. You couldn't have had the payoff without the journey, but I personally did not enjoy the journey. It's not a journey I'm going to go on again. So I don't know. I This is one of those songs that I appreciate on a musical level, and especially on a performance level. But it's not a track I'm going to be revisiting. It it is just not for me at all. I am curious about the lyrics and especially the imagery in the video. I don't know how much it has to do with the song, but there's a lot of crazy imagery going on, like wild. Some really, really cool, like burn in overlay stuff going on, where you get two images overlaid, and it's just like the escalator with the person like escaping the shadow. Just I don't know. It's evocative. It's my brain says that is an intense visual, but it's really three separate visuals and how they brought it together. Like whoever directed the video. I mean, we're off base on the music. I think I'm done talking about the music right now. But yeah, whoever directed the video and was in charge of producing it, getting these shots, and then whoever, I mean, just phenomenal work, just crazy stuff. And like I said, I am really curious how it ties into, because these are very strong emotional pictures. How it ties into the song and the lyrics. So yeah, let me know where what you guys thought about this though. Dang, this band again. I'm just ATARAXIE. Yep, ATARAXIE. Let me know what you guys think about this. If you made it this far, congratulations. If you enjoyed it, awesome. If you didn't, you know, both you types of people can let me know down in the comments. I've expressed my thoughts on them. You guys get to express your thoughts. Daniel, again, thank you for the recommendation. Even though I wasn't completely on board, like I said, I do appreciate a lot of what they're doing. So yeah, really cool stuff. Even if it was, a bit of a trek to get to this appreciation, this understanding. So yeah, you guys, while you're down there in the comments, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. All three things help me out greatly. If you'd like to get in on this Patreon picks, you can check out my Patreon link in the description. It's only $1 a month. You get in line, and eventually you'll be able to tell me what to check out. You can also check out my Twitter. I post up cool stuff there, as well as some less important updates to the channel, like I don't know if it's really like if a video gets blocked, I put that information everywhere. But there's little side stuff, kind of like behind the scenes stuff, maybe you could say. I don't know. I put that stuff on my Twitter, as well as cool musical things I find, sometimes covers or information about museums and stuff like that. So, yeah, if any of that interests you, you can go ahead and check out my Twitter as well. That link's in the description. I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UTC, as usual. We got 2 more videos to finish out the week, and then Saturday's Patreon picks. And we have a Sunday video. I was supposed to do a Sunday video last week, and things fell through. The video ended up getting pulled from YouTube, and contacted the band and haven't really worked that one out yet. But yeah, this week we got a cool video on Sunday. We got a new band or new album. I'm not really sure. They've asked to be presented on the channel. I figure why not? Let's promote some new stuff. Yeah, that's what this channel is all about. Is growing our knowledge, sharing music. So yeah, Sunday we're gonna have that. So we got a video every day this week. That's cool stuff. All right, so yeah, back tomorrow, 5 p.m., 9 p.m. UTC. And yeah, so until then, you guys stay safe out there and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.